Hello everyone, and welcome back to Crazy Movie Recaps. Today we'll be discussing A Quiet Place, a horror thriller drama that was released back in 2018 and is known for its minimal use of sound. So grab your favorite snacks and let's dive right into it. Day 89. The story begins amidst an apocalypse, with desolate scenes of abandoned roads and shops. The camera takes us inside a barren supermarket, where a family cautiously moves around. The mother, Evelyn, searches the shelves for medicine to treat her sick son, Marcus. After giving him the medicine, she assures her deaf daughter, Reagan, that Marcus is feeling better. While exploring the store, Reagan discovers her younger brother, Bo, sitting in an aisle and drawing a rocket on the floor. He shares his plan to use the rocket as their means of escape from the current situation. It's evident that something catastrophic has occurred on Earth. Bo attempts to grab a toy rocket from a shelf, causing it to topple over. Fortunately, Reagan catches it just in time before it hits the ground, and both of them breathe a sigh of relief. Lee, their father, then instructs Bo to find their mother. Meanwhile, Reagan discovers a bunch of electrical parts that Bo had scavenged. Curious, she asks her father what they are for, and he explains that they could possibly enhance the signal of one of their radios. Reagan also finds some pliers that her father had picked up for her. The family is momentarily reunited, but their relief is short-lived as they watch in horror as Bo emerges from the darkness clutching the toy rocket. Lee moves swiftly to remove the batteries from the toy and warns his son that it is too loud. However, they mistakenly leave Bo unattended, and when Reagan returns the toy to him, he takes the batteries along with it. During the family's peaceful walk home, it is abruptly disrupted by the clamorous sounds emanating from a toy rocket, causing everyone to feel apprehensive. Lee hurriedly moves to the rear of the group to protect his son, but unfortunately, an alien emerges from the nearby woods and kills him in one fell swoop. Day 472. Reagan and her mother start walking from their family's farmhouse towards their shack, while Reagan's father, Lee, stays in the basement. Lee sends out an SOS signal over the radio, hoping for a response, while he is surrounded by newspaper clippings that reveal the aliens' weaknesses and strengths, such as their sensitivity to sound and their armored bodies. Later, when Lee ventures outside, he notices his son Marcus pretending to drive one of the family's trucks. As we step into the house, we discover that Evelyn is expecting a child and is getting ready for its arrival by arranging an oxygen tank near a crib that is soundproofed. Meanwhile, on the roof, Lee is bidding a solemn farewell to his son Bo as he burns old photographs of him. Reagan lends a hand to her mother in setting up the dinner table, and the family gathers to eat, doing their utmost to maintain silence. Marcus and Reagan are playing Monopoly after dinner, but when Marcus accidentally knocks over a lamp, the family is on edge, expecting another attack. They feel relieved when they realize that the noise is just a group of raccoons and not the deadly predators that have taken over the planet. However, the raccoons do not go unnoticed by the aliens, and one of them is gruesomely squashed by an alien. After successfully avoiding danger, Lee is seen working on a cochlear implant for Reagan in the basement. As Evelyn comes downstairs, the two of them share a slow dance while listening to a track through their earbuds. Day 473. The day begins with Lee spreading sand on the family's usual walking paths to muffle the noise of their footsteps. Meanwhile, Evelyn is performing a self-checkup and recording her blood pressure on a calendar. Reagan is seen sneaking around the house, attempting to enter the basement, but Lee catches her and scolds her for trying to go there. Reagan insists that she's capable of being silent, and Lee hands her a cochlear implant, but Reagan informs him that it won't be effective. Apparently, Lee has been attempting to make it work for some time, but without success. When he tries to position the implant in her ear, Reagan stops him. Lee realizes that Reagan is in a bad mood and leaves after giving her the implant. Later in the day, Lee invites Marcus to join him on an outing, but Marcus is currently in the middle of a math lesson with his mother and is initially hesitant to go. However, after his mother reassures him, Marcus agrees to join Lee. Once outside, Marcus expresses his disapproval of the outing, and Reagan offers to take his place instead. Lee rejects the idea and tells Reagan that she needs to stay and assist her mother. Both children are unhappy with Lee's decision, and Reagan walks away in disappointment, throwing her new implant against a wall. Despite this, she picks it up and tests it, only to find out that it still doesn't work, causing her to cry. Reagan then packs a few items, including the pliers from earlier, and leaves the house. On the other side, Lee is able to calm Marcus, who is hysterical, as they search for food near a waterfall. Lee suggests that they can make noise since the waterfall is loud. Left to fend for herself, Evelyn proceeds to haul a bag of potatoes up a flight of stairs, only to have it snag on a nail embedded in one of the planks. Despite her efforts, she can't seem to free the sack until the camera pans in to focus on the nail. Meanwhile, Lee takes Marcus away to a nearby body of water and lets out a loud hoot, which startles Marcus. However, Lee quickly reassures him that everything's fine and they'll finally have a normal conversation. During their chat, Marcus asks why Reagan wasn't allowed to come along and whether Lee blames her for Bo's death. Lee responds with a firm no, but Marcus reveals that Reagan is blaming herself. Apparently, she had snuck out of the house to visit her brother's grave. Marcus suggests that his father tell Reagan that he still loves her, despite the tragedy that has befallen their family. Upon their return journey, the father and son encounter an elderly man who has just discovered his wife's body, which appears to have been mutilated by the aliens. The man reacts by screaming and seemingly attempting to commit suicide. In response, Lee swiftly takes hold of Marcus and leads him to safety, while the old man is killed. Upon their return home, Evelyn suddenly goes into labor and rushes down to the basement. However, she steps on a nail, causing her to cry out in pain before composing herself and making her way downstairs. There, she activates a switch on a board that turns the outside lights red, possibly warning her family of impending danger. Unfortunately, an alien has already heard her scream and is now inside the house and making loud noises and causing destruction. As this happens, Evelyn grabs a timer and disappears from the camera's view, leaving bloody footprints behind her. Lee and Marcus both arrive home, and upon noticing the red lights, they quickly run back to the house. Meanwhile, the alien that is currently in the basement searches for Evelyn, but becomes disoriented by the noise from the timer, which allows Evelyn to flee from the basement in time. There are two additional predators wandering about upstairs. Lee assigns Marcus the task of creating a loud distraction to divert the alien's attention and ensure that his mother can give birth without disturbance. Evelyn wriggles uncomfortably in the bathtub, preparing to give birth while the alien lurks just a few inches away, causing her to almost scream. However, Marcus arrives just in time, using fireworks to divert the aliens and rescuing his mother and unborn sibling from imminent danger. Meanwhile, Lee is also on his way home, armed with a shotgun and running as fast as he can. Reagan, who had been lying beside her brother's grave, sees the fireworks and starts making her way back to her house. After reaching home, Lee discovers the blood-soaked bathtub and fears that he has lost everything. However, he soon sees an almost unconscious Evelyn emerging from a bathroom door with her baby. Meanwhile, on his way back, Marcus encounters an alien and the camera cuts, leaving his fate uncertain. Later, we see Marcus carrying his family into a soundproofed room that was specially prepared for the birth. Unfortunately, just before reaching the room, the baby begins crying, alerting the aliens to their whereabouts. Upon Reagan's return, a peculiar incident occurs during her encounter with one of the extraterrestrial beings outside. The creature is startled by the noise emanating from her implant, causing it to retreat with its tail between its legs. As Evelyn regains consciousness, her husband reassures her of her safety and sets off to retrieve their children, Marcus and Reagan. It is later revealed that Marcus had survived and is joyfully reunited with his sister. After managing to leave the soundproofed room in search of his children, Lee notices a water leak through one of the pipes, which is now seeping into the room. He then heads to his workroom and surveys the footage from the installed cameras, but fails to find any sign of his kids, causing him to become anxious. Reagan is perched atop a silo, feeling increasingly anxious while Marcus attempts to reassure her that their father will eventually arrive to rescue them. Meanwhile, in a soundproof chamber, Evelyn awakens to discover that the room is rapidly filling with water, and that one of the aliens is lurking in the corner. She rushes to her infant's crib and seizes him, coming face to face with the alien in the process. Slowly, she retreats toward one of the walls, hoping that both she and her child will survive the encounter. The film then switches back to Marcus, who falls through the door of the silo, alerting the alien in the flooded chamber. As Reagan jumps in to assist her brother, the alien also enters the silo, threatening their safety. Reagan's cochlear implant once again saves the day by producing a screeching noise that causes the alien to flee in annoyance. Lee eventually locates his kids, but with the alien still in the vicinity, he signals for them to seek refuge inside the family truck. Upon reaching the truck, Marcus looks back in terror as the alien strikes his father. In response, Marcus screams, attracting the alien's attention towards the children. In a last-ditch effort to ensure his children's survival, Lee lets out a fatal scream while expressing his love for Reagan. Helpless, both children watch as the alien approaches their father. Although the children are still traumatized, they quickly come up with a plan and use a truck to reunite with their mother, who takes them to Lee's workplace. Once there, Reagan discovers the hard work her father put into developing a functional implant for her, but is overwhelmed with emotion. However, their touching moment is short-lived as another alien infiltrates Lee's workspace. At this point, Reagan becomes aware that the sound of her implant triggers the alien's response, so she combines a microphone with her implant to temporarily immobilize one of the creatures. This allows Evelyn to take a clear shot with her shotgun, which creates a loud noise that attracts a swarm of aliens towards them. To counter this, Reagan increases the volume of the microphone to its maximum while Evelyn prepares her shotgun. Wow! That was quite an experience. If you enjoyed watching our video and would like to watch more, please explore the other videos available on our channel.